Alright, first one up is the Shmup Collection. This game has 3 different shmups, and they're all great. First one is Armed 7, in which you control a mecha that has an arsenal of weapons that you get to control. You get to determine what loadout you start out with, and then you fly through the city or sometimes in space and just blow everything away. It's very fun and very neat. I highly recommend that one. And the next one is Cetasia's Next. Now this one is very much in the same line as Gradius, but it feels a lot more exciting than a Gradius. It feels like dynamic and faster. The very neat takes on the Gradius formula of shmups. And if you don't know Gradius, then you should probably check that out. That is a classic, and it's very old. It's like 8-bit. The last one is Wolffang, and this one was just okay. I feel like it didn't really pique my interest aesthetic-wise, but it is a decent shooter. The next shmup is Shikondo, and this one has a very Asian folklore, kind of ghost story aesthetic. Certainly apparent when you're fighting the bosses. They show very much Eastern horror aspect, and the bosses transform and get even worse. And it is a nice design to see. It does have this shmup has a graze mechanic that powers your ship, your bullets, and it also can turn all the on-screen bullets into points when you use the bomb mechanic, which gets powered by the graze. It's fairly neat presentation-wise. It's okay for a shmup, but still something that is interesting enough to check out. And it's also, I think, it's no longer digitally available, so you have to actually get the physical, at least for the Switch. But I'm sure that there are other ways to get this game. Next, we have the excellent Esperade Sai. It's made by the amazing shmup creators called Cave, and this is a classic. There's not a lot of faults that you have with this game. You control an Esper that is fighting against some sort of conspiracy. I actually don't know what the story is. I can tell you that there's a lot of bullets in the screen and a lot of big detailed bosses that just look fantastic. This game has excellent big sprites and very flashy bullet patterns and a pretty rocking soundtrack. And it's just great overall. Amazing. Definitely a classic. Now, Escaluda 2 is another in a long line of amazing cave shooters. It's got a lot more of a steampunk aesthetic to it, and it has great detailed effects, massive bosses, lots of on-screen enemies, lots of bullet patterns, and it runs amazing on the Switch. And this is another shmup that is very enjoyable. It seems like you can switch between 2 characters from a pair of pilot protagonists. And actually, they're not really pilots. They are also super-powered individuals, whether they be magic users or espers, as in Esperade Sai, or in another similar game, Shikigami no Shiro. You can choose between the 2 characters. You can switch between the 2 characters mid-game, whether you want to be in a slower, concentrated fire mode or a more free-range, faster shot mode. The bullet ability does change, and I guess that does happen in other shmups as well. It's just another added level of detail when you can switch between 2 characters. It's pretty neat. Now back to horizontal shooters. We have Devil Engine. This game is definitely in the same vein as Thunder Force. It is very much taking inspiration from that game. It has a rocking soundtrack to match, but if you're going to take inspiration from Thunder Force, you've got to have that super hard difficulty, and there's just a lot of bullets on the screen and a lot of enemies, and you don't really have a bomb clearing mechanic in this one. But what you do have is you can do a small burst that clears some bullets, and it will be needed when you're trying to get through this game. Some of the boss patterns was quite difficult for me. I couldn't get too far into it, but still an enjoyable experience. Now we have Dodonpachi Daiojo. Now this game is, once again, an excellent cave shooter, and anything that applies that I've said about previous cave shooters applies to this one as well. And this is actually perhaps even more true. There's a lot of enemies and a lot of great detailed sprites, and they move seamlessly, and it's just an excellent game to play on Switch. There's definitely hordes and hordes of tanks, copters, and ships just waiting to get decimated by your power. Next, we have Dodonpachi Dai Fukatsu, and this one is also in the vein of other Dodonpachi games because it's a direct sequel, and it also has a bullet countering or bullet clearing mechanic that allows you to not only use your bombs but also use your firepower to clear the bullets as part of its scoring system. It is quite the spectacle to see. I found that this game is very fun. I really like about it aesthetically. It has I feel like it looks even better than the other game, the Dodonpachi Daiojo, but I've heard that the scoring system is a little bit more complex. I can tell you that aesthetically I really like Dodonpachi Dai Fukatsu because it does have anime mecha girls as well as all the sci-fi aesthetic tropes that you find in Shmups. It's just fantastic and should be checked out. Rolling Gunner Overpower is another great shmup that you can play. A ship that controls an invulnerable and very powerful option. Options are the things that we call that hover around your ship, and this is something that I've learned from Gradius, because those flying drone things were called options. This has a lot more devastating firepower than those. Another similar game that has this sort of option or probe drone system is R-Type. Unlike R-Type though, you can rotate this around your ship and it'll freely, so you have a lot of devastating firepower that you can use omnidirectionally. It's quite fantastic. It can also clear bullets. That makes this game a little on the easier side, but it still conveys this great sense of devastating power and fighting against lots and lots of enemies and trying to dodge some bullets that you cannot clear. More cave shooters. What do you know? I'd say that at least half of this list is literally cave-made shooters. But I can't go against this because they are just so good. And Mushihime-sama is definitely in that vein. What I like about this is now that you're looking for a more bug-centric aesthetic, more of a fantasy genre style shmup. And you control a girl who is on a flying bug that can shoot lots and lots of bullets. And the devastating raw power, again, that is present in shmups is one of the great funs about it. Unlike the other cave shooters, though, it does seem like there are big multi-part bosses that have they're very detailed, and then you have to destroy certain parts of it, and they fill up the entire screen until you finally are able to um, destroy them. It's really cool. It's something that is a little different from the other shmup that Cave has made. Lastly, we have Danmaku Unlimited 3. And this surprised me. I really like the sound. The soundtrack for this game, oh man, it's just so good. It sounds excellent, and the colors just really pop off when you're playing this. It's very neon bright, and you have access to very powerful lasers that can counter the bullets that are... some of them. You can counter some of the bullets that are on the screen. And you can also use a bomb to clear all the bullets on the screen. It's kind of like a bullet trance sort of feel, especially with the pumping music and with bright lights. It's quite a fun shmup for that sort of feel, and I really think that you should check it out. It was surprising to see like this sort of, again, when I'm playing shmups, I like to see the sort of power that can be put on display, and there's just, it's like, it's a laser war in this game. It's quite fun to watch. What's great about shmups is that they are easy to understand and difficult to master, and this is just a small bit of the many great shmups on the Switch. So if you have any other suggestions for me to check out, let me know in the comments. But yeah, have a good time playing some of these shmups. I hope that these suggestions will help you out. Talk to you guys later.